Chosen one, stop. Don't scroll past this. Not tonight. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. The lamp still on, the kitchen quiet. Somewhere in this house there's probably a cold cup of tea you forgot about an hour ago because your mind wouldn't let you settle. Your bones are tired. Your body said sleep a long time ago, but your spirit said wait. That's why you're still awake. That's why your eyes landed here. And I need you to understand something before we go 1 second further. This is not an accident. You didn't stumble onto this message. You were directed here. Because there is something God will not allow you to carry into tomorrow morning. Something that has been sitting on your chest for weeks, maybe months, that was never yours to hold this long. And if you close your eyes tonight without hearing what I'm about to tell you, you will wake up tomorrow the same way you woke up today. Carrying the same weight, fighting the same silence, wondering if something has been forgotten about you. It hasn't. Here's what most people don't know. And this is going to change the way you see tonight forever. The few minutes before you fall asleep are the most spiritually unguarded moments of your entire day. Not Sunday morning, not your quiet time, right now. This threshold, this doorway between the noise of the world and the silence of rest. In these moments, your soul steps out from behind every defense it built since sunrise, and it becomes more honest, more open, and more receivable than at any other point in 24 hours. God has always known this. And tonight, specifically tonight, He is standing at that threshold with something in His hand that has your name on it. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly why your spirit becomes more honest at night than it is all day long. Before this message ends, you're going to see what the wilderness you've been walking through actually did to you, and it is not what you think. And at the very end, I'm going to give you one sentence to carry into sleep tonight. One sentence that may change the way you wake up tomorrow, but only if you stay. Because here is the truth that nobody is saying out loud. This is not just the end of a day, this is a threshold. And on the other side of it for you, tonight something is waiting that has never been waiting before. The room is growing quiet. The last light before sleep is still on. And God is not finished speaking. If you know this night feels different, type right now. This night matters. If something in your spirit would not let you rest, yet type, I'm still here. Stay with me. What comes next was meant for you. You made it through another day. You answered the questions people needed answered. You wore the face the world expected you to wear. You managed the worry, swallowed what you couldn't say, kept moving when part of you wanted to stop. And now, right now, the house is quiet. The noise of the day is finally draining out of the room like water leaving a basin. And something strange is happening. You're starting to feel things you didn't feel at noon. That heaviness in your chest is louder now. Those old questions you shelved this morning are back. That longing you couldn't quite name, the one you've been out running since sunrise, it's sitting right next to you, patient as ever. And you might call it anxiety. You might call it exhaustion. But I want to tell you what it actually is. This is your soul stepping out from behind its armor. All day long, you performed. Not dishonestly, just humanly. You wore the version of yourself that the world requires: capable, composed, functioning. That armor is not a bad thing. It gets you through. But it also keeps you from feeling what is true. And at night, when the distractions lose their volume, when the scrolling stops and the TV goes dark and the last person stops needing something from you, the armor falls off. And what remains is just you, undefended, unperforming, honest. This is why grief grows louder at night. Not because something new went wrong, but because the noise that was drowning it out finally stopped. This is why old memories come flooding back before sleep. The faces of people you miss, the roads you didn't take, the words you should have said. This is why longing shows up in the dark, with a force it never has at 2 inches the afternoon. The night doesn't create these feelings, it simply stops hiding them. And here is the question that changes everything. If the night is this honest, What exactly is it revealing about you tonight? Sit with that for a second, because the Bible didn't treat the night as something to survive. Scripture treated the night as a place where God does his most intimate work. Jacob didn't wrestle an angel at a community meeting. He wrestled in the middle of the night alone, terrified, everything stripped away, and by morning his name had changed forever. I will not let you go unless you bless me. That's not the voice of a composed man. That is a man with his armor completely off, holding on with everything he has. Solomon didn't receive the wisdom that shaped an entire civilization in a strategy session. God asked him one question in a dream: "What do you want?" And in that unguarded, sleeping surrender, Solomon answered from the deepest part of himself. The wisdom didn't come through performance. It came through openness. Joseph's destiny didn't unfold in daylight meetings. It unfolded in dreams. Daniel received understanding after dark, in visions that came when his waking defenses were lowered. And even Jesus, the Son of God, withdrew from the noise and went into the night alone to pray. Not because the daylight wasn't sacred, but because something happens between a soul and God when all the crowds are gone and the only sound is the quiet. God has always known where to find you when you're most real. And you've felt it, haven't you? Those late-night moments when something in you just breaks open, not in despair, but in honesty. When a prayer comes out of you that doesn't sound like the polished words you use in public. When the tears finally arrive because there's no one left to hold them back for. When you whisper something to God in the dark that you'd never say in the daylight. That is not weakness. That is the holiest version of you that exists. The heart that hid all day just stepped into the light. Because here is the thing about your nighttime exposure. The longing, the memories, the ache, you can't quite explain it, is not just emotional clutter. It is God-given signal. It is your spirit trying to tell you something your busy daytime mind refused to sit still long enough to hear. And if God is allowing this quiet to expose what daylight keeps buried, then what has this season been trying to bring to the surface in you? What truth has the noise been covering? What question has busyness been helping you avoid? What part of you has been waiting for everyone else to leave the room before it could finally speak? Because those questions don't come from the enemy. Those questions come from the deepest and most honest part of who you were made to be. The night is not your enemy, chosen one. The night is where your soul stops lying. And if this is the hour when you feel everything the strongest, when the longing is loudest and the questions press hardest, and God feels both far away and terrifyingly close, then that is not a malfunction. That is a meeting. Type right now, God meets me here. Because he does. And what he has been waiting to say to you through every restless night, through every season that made no sense, through every silence that felt like abandonment, is not finished yet. In fact, we haven't even gotten to the part that will change the way you see everything you've walked through. That is exactly where we're going next. Let me ask you something nobody has asked you in a very long time. How are you really? Not the answer you give at church. Not the one you give your children when they call on Sunday. Not the "I'm fine, I'm blessed" you say because it's easier than the truth. The real answer. The one sitting behind your ribs right now, because I believe you have been carrying something for a long time. Something you have never fully put into words. Something that doesn't have a clean name, but it lives in your body. You feel it in the morning before your feet hit the floor. You feel it in the quiet after everyone leaves. You feel it when a song comes on the radio, and suddenly your eyes are full before you even understand why. That is not weakness. That is years. You have been strong for so long, for so many people, that somewhere along the way, you forgot that someone was supposed to be strong for you. You raised children who became strangers. You poured decades of your life into a marriage, a family, a career, and somehow still found yourself alone in a kitchen at 2 in the morning, sitting in silence so heavy it has a sound. You smiled at Christmas dinner while grief was pressing against the back of your throat. You held it together at the funeral. You held it together at the diagnosis. You held it together in the parking lot before you walked back inside like nothing happened. And nobody saw it. Not one person stopped to ask what it cost you. Psalm 56, verse 8, says this, and I need you to hear it like you are reading it for the first time. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. God kept every single one. The tears that fell in the dark when no one was watching. The ones you cried driving home alone. The ones you swallowed because there was no room in the moment to fall apart. He saw every one of them. He saved every one of them. Not one was wasted. Not one was missed. But the question no one is asking you, the one that has been pressing against your chest for months, maybe years, is this. Lord, why am I still here? You have asked it, haven't you? Maybe not out loud. Maybe only in the silence before sleep. You look around at everything that has changed, the people who are gone, the body that is slower, the world that moves faster than you can follow, and somewhere underneath the faith, underneath the prayers, underneath the God is good, you say, because you mean it, and because you have to, there is a quieter question. Did I miss my moment? Is my assignment finished? Am I just waiting now? That question is not doubt. That question is holy, because only someone who still has something left to give asks whether they still have something left to give. I want to speak directly to the widow in this room right now, the one who still reaches for someone in the night who is no longer there, the one who sets one less plate and still hasn't gotten used to it after 3 years, the one who says he was my whole world and means it and has been trying to rebuild a world ever since. I want to speak to the caregiver, the one who has given every hour, every dollar, every ounce of energy to someone who needed them and is now standing in the wreckage of their own unlived life, exhausted in a way sleep cannot fix. I want to speak to the one whose children drifted. You did not abandon them. You prayed over them. You loved them the only way you knew how, and still they walked away. And you carry that like a stone in your chest every single day, wondering what you did wrong, replaying every decision, offering it to God because you don't know what else to do with it. I want to speak to the one whose body is slowing down, but whose spirit is still fully alive. The one who has more to say than anyone around them is willing to hear. The one the culture has quietly pushed to the edge of the room, too old to be relevant, too alive to disappear. This is what I need you to hear, not as encouragement, as truth. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are carrying years, years of love, years of loss, years of showing up, years of being faithful when faithfulness cost you everything and gave you nothing visible in return. That is not a burden, that is a formation. That is the kind of weight God only places on shoulders he has already proven can hold it. Job said it, "He knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come out as gold." Not if, when. But what if the pain did not merely wound you? What if it formed something? What if this season was not empty at all, but building a version of you that could not have been built any other way? The grief stored in your body is not evidence that God forgot you. It is evidence that you loved deeply in a world that needed someone who could. The disappointment over prayers that seem unanswered is not evidence of a closed heaven. It is evidence of a faith that refused to stop knocking even when no one appeared to be home. You are not a person waiting to be done. You are a person being finished. And there is a profound difference between those two things. If you have been strong for everybody else while hurting in private type right now, God sees my weight, because he does. And what he is about to do with everything you carried, that is what this night was always leading to. You've been asking the wrong question for months, maybe years. In the dark, in the quiet, in the middle of the night when nobody could hear you, you asked it again and again. Why is this taking so long? And when heaven stayed silent, you filled that silence with your worst fear, that you missed it, that you did something wrong, that God moved on and left your name off the list. I need you to stop right there. Because what you called delay, God called formation. And those are not the same thing. Here is a question that will change every hard season you have ever walked through. What if you have been asking God for a door, while God has been forming the person who can walk through it? Think about that. Sit with it, because the door was never the problem. You were being built to carry what's on the other side of it. A seed goes into the ground and disappears. No light, no applause, no visible progress. To every eye above the soil, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, in the dark, in the pressure, the shell is cracking open. The root system is driving down 40 feet before a single inch breaks the surface. You cannot rush that process. You cannot shame it into moving faster. The darkness is not the enemy of the seed. The darkness is where the seed does its most important work. That is exactly where you have been. And that is exactly what has been happening to you. Let me show you what the wilderness was actually building, because it was not wasting your time. It was doing 4 things you could not have received any other way. The first thing it did was kill the version of you that needed people's approval to function. Be honest. Before this season, you needed someone to confirm you before you could believe in yourself. You needed someone to name you before you could walk in your name. You built your confidence out of what people said about you, and when the season went quiet, when the praise stopped, when the validation dried up, something in you panicked. That panic was necessary, because what came out of it was a version of you that no longer requires permission. The person who is emerging from this wilderness does not need a crowd to tell them who they are. That is not arrogance. That is formation. And it cannot be faked, purchased, or inherited. It can only be forged. Hebrews 12:11 says it plainly. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. Later, not immediately, not on your schedule. Later. The second thing the wilderness built in you was endurance that nobody saw. Every morning, you got up when getting up felt pointless. That was building something. Every time you kept your integrity when no one was watching, that was building something. Every prayer you prayed in an empty room with no visible response, that was building something permanent into your interior. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before the burning bush. 40 years of tending sheep with no audience, no title, no evidence that any of it mattered. And when God finally spoke from that fire, Moses had been shaped into the only kind of man who could lead 3 million people through impossible terrain. The 40 years were not wasted. The 40 years were the preparation. What you built in the hidden years, the faithfulness no one applauded, the discipline no one awarded, that is the exact foundation your next season is going to stand on. And it will hold, because it was proven in private. The third thing the wilderness did was reveal who could not travel with you. Some of the relationships that ended in this season felt like betrayal, like loss, like abandonment at the worst possible moment. And the grief of it was real. I am not minimizing that, but here is what you could not see from inside the pain. Certain people were connected to the old version of you, and as God began reshaping your interior, those connections could not hold the new weight. It was not cruelty, it was surgery. The wilderness created distance between you and what could not carry you forward. David understood this. He went into the wilderness with a throne promised and everything stripped away. The people who should have protected him hunted him instead. And what came out on the other side was not a boy with a sling. It was a king with wisdom, with mercy, with the interior strength to govern a nation. He needed the cave. So did you. The fourth thing, and this is the one that changes everything, the wilderness turned shallow faith into anchored faith. Before the hard season, your faith was built on what God was doing for you. When the blessings flowed, you believed. When the silence came, your faith shook. That is not a character flaw. That is where most people start. But Anna understood something deeper. She spent 84 years as a widow, staying in the temple, fasting, praying, waiting. No sign, no dramatic breakthrough, just faithful presence in the presence of God. And when the moment finally came when she laid eyes on the infant Messiah, she recognized him instantly. While others walked past, she knew. Because her faith was no longer built on outcomes. It was built on God himself. That is what the wilderness does in a person who refuses to leave. It removes every substitute for God until only God remains. And when only God remains, your faith cannot be shaken. Because you are no longer standing on what he gives. You are standing on who he is. And here is the question that should stop you cold right now. If the wilderness changed you, and it did, then who are you now? Not who you were when this season began. Not the version of you that entered the desert scared and approval-hungry and shallow-rooted. Who are you now? Caleb was 85 years old. 45 years had passed since God made him a promise. 45 years of watching others receive, waiting for his turn, carrying a word that had not yet become visible. And when the moment finally came, he stood up in front of everyone and said, "Give me this mountain. Not someday, not eventually, now." Because he had spent 45 years becoming the man who could take it. You were not being buried. You were being formed out of sight. The root system that grows in the dark is what holds the tree upright in the storm. And a storm is coming not to break you, but to reveal what you have become. If you believe the delay was doing deeper work than you realized, type right now, "It was forming me." Because what comes next is not more waiting. What comes next is the moment the seed breaks the surface and everything built underground finally becomes visible. And there is something specific about what is rising in you that I have not told you yet. Something about who you actually are right now, tonight, that changes what you wake up as tomorrow morning. Stay with me. We are just getting to the heart of it. Stay with me. Because what I am about to say next is not encouragement. It is not a pep talk. It is a mirror. And some of you have not looked in this particular mirror in a very long time. You came into this season as one person. You have no idea who walked out. Let me show you. Think back to who you were before the hard years, before the loss, before the silence, before the prayers that went up and seemed to hit the ceiling and fall back to the floor. Who were you then? You were quicker to react, quicker to be wounded, quicker to perform, to prove, to explain yourself to people who were never going to understand you anyway. You needed the validation. You needed the room to agree. You needed someone to name you before you believed you had a name worth carrying. That person is gone, not broken, not bitter, gone, replaced by something the wilderness forged that you have not yet fully recognized in yourself. Hebrews 12:11 says it plainly, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Yet afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness." Afterward, not during, afterward. You are in the afterward, and the fruit is already on the tree. You just have not looked up to see it yet. Here is who you are now, chosen one. You are a seer. Not someone who sees visions in the night, though God moves however he moves, but someone who reads a room the moment they enter it. Someone who looks past what people say and hears what they mean. Someone who felt the shift in a relationship weeks before anyone else named it. You have been doing this your entire life. You called it being sensitive. God calls it discernment. It is not a burden. It is a weapon. You are a keeper of peace. Not a peacekeeper who silences themselves to keep everyone comfortable. A keeper of peace, someone who carries a settled stillness inside them that other people lean into without even knowing why. You have walked into rooms full of chaos and the temperature dropped. You have sat beside people in crisis, and your presence alone was the ministry. You did not earn that in a classroom. That was forged steel under velvet, hard as iron on the inside, soft enough to hold a broken person on the outside. You are a voice forged by pain, and this one needs to land somewhere deep. The things you carry in your chest, the losses, the silences, the years that felt like they added up to nothing, they became language. They became the only kind of language that actually reaches a person who is drowning. Anyone can speak from success. Only the wounded can speak from survival. Your pain did not disqualify your voice. It is the reason your voice carries weight that polished, easy words never will. You are a spiritual anchor in unstable times. Look around this country right now. Look at what is happening in families, in communities, in the hearts of the young people in your own household. They are unmoored. They do not say it out loud, but they are watching you. They are watching how you hold steady when everything shakes. They are taking notes on whether faith is real by watching whether yours survives. You are not on the sidelines of this generation. You are the foundation underneath it. And you are a late-season vessel still chosen by God. I need you to hear this and not let it slide past you. The world will tell you that late is too late, that your best years are behind you, that the harvest belongs to the young and the loud and the fast. But Joel 2:28 says the old shall dream dreams, not past tense, present declaration. God has not retired your purpose, He has deepened it. A river made deeper is not a river made slower. It is a river made more powerful, more dangerous, more capable of carving its way through stone. A lamp trimmed in private burns brighter when it is finally carried into the dark. A vessel enlarged in silence holds more than one that was never emptied. That is you. That is exactly you. Now, here is the question that should stop you cold. If this is who you are now, if formation was this real, this thorough, this transforming, why are some people still stuck after everything they have walked through? Why do some people endure the wilderness and come out the other side, still gripping the old identity? Still shrinking back? Still waiting for someone else to name them first? And here is what God showed me that I cannot keep to myself. The secret He was forming was not just your future, it was your character. Your future is the destination. Your character is the vehicle. And God has been building the vehicle for decades, piece by piece, trial by trial, silence by silence. Because what is coming in your next season requires someone who has been remade from the inside out. Not just blessed, rebuilt. This is why you survived what you survived. Not to write a testimony about the past, to carry what was built in the past into the territory of what is next. And the only thing that can block it now is not your enemy. It is not your age. It is not your circumstances. It is the reflex to hold on to who you used to be, when God has already made you into someone new. If you can feel tonight that God has changed you in hidden ways, ways no one saw, ways you barely have words for, type right now in the comments, I am not who I was. Let that be your declaration. Because tomorrow, everything begins from who you are tonight. And who you are tonight is more than you know, more than you have claimed, more than you have been willing to step into. That changes right now. Now I need to say something to you that most preachers won't say, not because it isn't true, but because it costs something to hear it. You came into this night carrying more than exhaustion. You know that. You felt it the moment you sat down. There is something else in the room with you right now, something heavier than tiredness, something older than tonight, and I need to name it. Because if we don't name it before you close your eyes, you will wake up tomorrow and carry it into another day, and another week, and another year. Here is the thing nobody tells you about surviving a long, hard season. The very instincts that kept you alive can slowly begin to destroy your future. Think about that. You have been through something. Maybe a loss that rewired you. Maybe a betrayal that taught you never to fully open your hands again. Maybe years of praying for something that did not come when you needed it, and the waiting taught your nervous system one devastating lesson. Brace yourself. And so you did. You braced. You tightened. You learned to grip what you had before it could be taken. You learned to read every room for danger before you let yourself rest. You learned to hold your hope at a distance so it couldn't hurt you when it didn't arrive. And it worked. That's the brutal truth. It kept you standing. But chosen one, that same clenched fist that protected you in the wilderness, will crush what God is trying to place in your open hand right now. Proverbs 3:5 says it plainly. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Not most of your heart. Not the parts of your heart that feel safe to give. All of it. But here is the question that will cut deeper than any sermon you have ever heard. What are you still holding tonight that God asked you to set down 6 months ago? Don't answer quickly. Let it land. Because somewhere in your spirit, you already know the answer. It came to mind the second I asked. It always does. Maybe it's the grief you've worn so long it no longer feels like grief, it feels like your identity. You don't know who you are without the weight of it, so you carry it like armor into every room, into every relationship, into sleep itself. Maybe it's bitterness so familiar it feels like discernment. You call it wisdom. You call it just being realistic. But underneath the sophisticated language, it is an old wound that was never surrendered, and it has been quietly poisoning the soil of every new thing God has tried to plant in your life. Maybe it is fear. Not the kind that screams, the quiet kind, the kind that makes you hesitate 1 second too long, the kind that says, don't get your hopes up before every good thing, the kind that has trained you to expect disappointment with such consistency that you have stopped letting yourself fully believe. Maybe it is control. And I say this with all the love I have. Some of you have been trying to manage God, praying for things, then immediately working out how to manufacture them yourself, asking Him to open doors, then standing at those same doors with a crowbar, not because you don't believe, but because you have been disappointed so many times that trusting the outcome to someone else, even God, feels like a gamble you cannot afford. Job 3:25 exposed this centuries ago. Job said, "What I feared has come upon me, not what he deserved, what he gripped, what he could not release." Fear, held tightly enough, becomes a magnet for the very thing it dreads. Here is the AHA that may be the most important thing you hear tonight. What protected you in the wilderness may block you in the new season. The armor that kept you alive in the battle is too heavy to wear into the room where the blessing is waiting. You cannot receive with a clenched fist. You cannot rest with a locked jaw. You cannot be filled while you are still white-knuckling empty things. And this is where the enemy is most clever. He does not need to steal your blessing directly. He only needs to keep you gripping your survival long enough that your hands are never open when the provision arrives. In a moment, I am going to ask you one question you cannot lie to, and the way you answer it before sleep tonight may determine whether tomorrow begins in peace or pressure. But before I ask it, I need you to hear this first. God is not asking you to surrender because He wants to take something from you. He is asking because He cannot give you what is coming while your hands are still full of what is over. The season that hurt you, it is finished, but you are still sleeping with your hands wrapped around it, still carrying armor into a room that was built for rest, still gripping what He asked you to lay down, because laying it down has always meant getting hurt before, not this time. Here is your question, the one you cannot lie to. If God asked you tonight, right now, to fully release the one thing you have been controlling, the one fear you have been managing, the one grief you have been wearing as identity, would your hands open, or would they tighten? You know the answer, and so does He. Type right now in the comments, "I release what I cannot carry," not because it is easy, because it is time. And what happens when you finally open your hands? That is what this night was always building toward. Let me ask you something nobody else is going to ask you tonight. What if the darkness you have been sitting in, the silence, the waiting, the seasons where heaven felt like it stopped answering, what if none of that was punishment? What if it was preparation? Because here is what I know after a lifetime of studying the Word of God. The Bible does not avoid the night. It is built on it. The most dramatic turning points in all of Scripture, the moments where one version of a person ended and another began, almost every single one of them happened in the dark. This is not coincidence. This is the pattern of God. Look at Jacob, Genesis 32. This is a man running no worship service, just a man, the dark, and something that meets him there. He wrestles until dawn, and when the sun finally rises, Jacob is limping. His hip is permanently displaced. His body will carry the evidence of that night for the rest of his life. But something else changed too. His name changed. The man who walked into that darkness as Jacob, the deceiver, the schemer, the one who spent his whole life grabbing, woke up as Israel. The night did not break him. The night renamed him. And I need you to hear this, because this is where it gets personal. You have been in a wrestling season. You have been holding on in the dark, refusing to let go, not entirely sure what you are even holding on to. The world calls that desperation. God calls that qualification. Jacob did not receive his new name in a crowded room. He received it alone, at midnight, in the most undignified struggle of his life. Where has God been forming your new name? Now look at Joseph. 17 years old when the dream comes. 30 years old when it arrives. 13 years of the pit, the slave block, the prison cell. 13 years of nights that had no morning visible from inside them. And in every one of those dark seasons, Joseph did not have a map. He did not have a promise written on paper. He had a dream God gave him as a teenager, and nothing but darkness between that dream and its fulfillment. But here is what the darkness was doing that Joseph could not see. It was building the character the dream required. The pit stripped away arrogance. The prison stripped away dependence on human favor. By the time Pharaoh looked Joseph in the eye, Joseph was not the boy who had the dream. He was the man the dream needed. The night seasons were not the interruption of Joseph's destiny. They were the destiny, being shaped from the inside out. Then there is Solomon. 1 Kings, chapter 3. God comes to him in the night in a dream and asks him one question: "What do you want?" And Solomon, in that sacred dark, asks not for wealth, not for long life, not for revenge against his enemies. He asks for wisdom, and God gives him everything. The most pivotal conversation of Solomon's reign did not happen in the throne room. It happened while he slept. Heaven waited for the noise to stop. Heaven waited for the daytime performance to go quiet. And then, in the deep receiving state of the night, God spoke the thing that would shape an entire era. And then there is Elijah. This man had just called down fire from heaven. He had stood alone against 450 false prophets and won. He had seen the most dramatic miracle of his generation. And then one threatening letter from one queen, and he is under a juniper tree, begging to die. God's response? He does not rebuke him. He does not preach at him. He lets him sleep. An angel touches him and says, "Arise and eat. The journey is too great for you." God's first answer to Elijah's exhaustion was not a sermon. It was rest. And it was in that rest, in that dark, quiet stillness, that Elijah received the strength for the next assignment. Are you hearing this? Because I know what some of you have been calling your seasons of exhaustion. You have called it failure. You have called it being forgotten. You have called it evidence that maybe God moved on and left you behind. But what if it was the juniper tree? What if the angel is standing over you right now, saying the same thing: the journey ahead requires more than you currently have, so rest and receive. And then Passover. Exodus 12. The most defining night in the entire history of Israel. God does not move them in the morning. He does not free them at noon. He crosses them over at midnight. The blood on the doorpost. The angel moving through Egypt in the darkest hour before dawn. And by the time the sun rose, the chains of 400 years were broken. 400 years of bondage, broken at midnight. The Bible does not treat night as empty time. It treats night as crossing time. And if you have been in a long season, a 400 days kind of season, maybe a 400 months kind of season where the chains have felt permanent, where the morning felt like it was never coming, hear me right now. God has always done his most permanent work in the dark. The resurrection itself, the stone rolled away, the tomb empty, death reversed. The most powerful event in all of human history happened before anyone was awake to witness it. The crossing had already happened. The work was already done. The women came at dawn and found only the evidence. You are not waiting for God to begin. You are waiting to see what he has already finished. So what does that mean for you tonight? It means this night is not empty. It means the quiet around you right now is not absence. It means the fact that you are still awake, that something would not let you close your eyes, yet is not restlessness. It is the angel touching your shoulder. It is the Jabbok River in the dark. It is the dream being delivered while the world sleeps. And the question heaven is asking you before you close your eyes tonight is the same question it asked Solomon. What do you want? Not what do you think you deserve? Not what have you earned? What do you want from this night, from this season, from the God who has been working in every darkness you have ever walked through? If you believe God still works in the dark type right now, God is working tonight. Because what he has been building in you through every night you thought was silence, we are about to name it. And the naming changes everything. Now we have arrived at the most important moment of this entire message. Not the most dramatic, the most personal. Because everything we have talked about tonight, the sacredness of this hour, the formation happening in the hidden season, none of it can land fully in you if your hands are still clenched. And I need to ask you something direct, something most people are afraid to say out loud, even to themselves. What are you still gripping right now? Not in your hands, in your chest. There is something you carried into this night that you have been carrying for a long time, and your body knows it. That is why your shoulders haven't fully dropped yet. That is why even lying down in a dark room, you are not at peace. You are braced. You are waiting for the next thing to go wrong, the next disappointment to land, the next silence from God that feels like abandonment. Can I tell you what that is? That is not faith, that is survival, and survival served you. It kept you here. But chosen one, it will rob you of everything that is trying to reach you now if you don't lay it down tonight. Psalm 127:2 says it plainly. He grants sleep to those he loves, not to those who have earned it, not to those who have figured it all out, to those he loves. Sleep, real rest, deep rest, is not a reward for having everything under control. It is a gift for those who are finally willing to release control. So let me name what needs to come off tonight. The fear that it is too late, that you have passed the window, that somehow, quietly, without anyone telling you, you were passed over. That fear is a lie dressed in the language of logic. God does not operate on the world's timeline. He called Abraham at 75. He raised Lazarus after 4 days in the tomb. Late is not a word in his vocabulary. Set it down. The bitterness toward the people who misread you, who reduced you, who looked at your life and drew the wrong conclusion about what you carried. That bitterness has become a coat you put on so long ago you forgot you were wearing it. It is heavy. It was never made for you. And it is keeping warmth out that is meant to come in. Set it down. The grief that became your identity. Some of you have been in mourning so long for a marriage, a child, a version of your life that never arrived, that sorrow stopped being something you felt and started being something you were. And God honors grief. He wept at the tomb of Lazarus, but he did not stay there, and neither were you designed to. Set it down. The insistence on knowing how God must answer. The quiet demand in your prayers that says, this is the door, this is the timeline, this is the form it has to take. That is not faith, dear one. That is fear wearing the clothes of prayer. Proverbs 3-5 doesn't say, trust the Lord and present him your plan. It says, trust him with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. The understanding you are gripping, let it go. He sees roads you have not seen yet. Set it down. And this is the one that strikes closest to the bone for so many watching tonight. The belief that your age means your relevance is over. How long have you let that thought live in the back of your mind, unchallenged? That the world has moved on, that your best chapters are behind you, that God is busy with younger, louder, fresher vessels now, that you are somehow in the way rather than in the purpose. That is not wisdom, that is a wound speaking. Moses did not lead a nation until he was 80 years old. Anna the prophetess waited at the temple for decades, and God made sure she was the one standing in the room the moment the Messiah arrived. You are not too old, you are not too late. You are precisely positioned. Set it down. Now I want you to say these lines, not perform them, mean them. I do not have to carry tonight into tomorrow. I release the version of me that survived by bracing. I am willing to sleep in trust, not tension. I do not need the full map to trust the shepherd. Feel what shifts when you say that last one. You do not need the full map. You need the shepherd. And the shepherd is not lost. Think of it this way. There is a coat you have been wearing since the hardest season of your life. Heavy, waterproof against disappointment, built to survive exposure, and it served its purpose. But you are inside now. The storm is not in this room. And the coat, the weight of it, the thickness of it, the way it keeps everything at a distance, including warmth. It is time to set it on the chair by the door. You do not need armor to sleep. You need open hands. Rest is not quitting. Rest is trust without control. Read that again. Rest is not the absence of faith. Rest is faith, the deepest, most courageous form of it. Because surrender says, I believe you are working, even when I am not watching. I believe the seed is growing even in the dark. I believe tomorrow will carry what I cannot manufacture tonight. That is not passivity, that is power. In the final minutes of this message, I am going to give you the exact closing declaration to speak before you close your eyes tonight. Do not miss it, because this is where everything we have spoken becomes yours permanently, not just something you heard, but something you carry. But right now, in this moment, if tonight you are choosing surrender over striving, type, I lay it down. Let that be your declaration, not of defeat, of arrival. The last lamp is being turned off in peace. The armor is being unstrapped. And your heart, for the first time in a long time, is being placed in the hands that were made to hold it. What God does with a surrendered heart while it sleeps will change what stands up in the morning. Let me be honest with you right now. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, or when the light comes through your window before the alarm ever does, the world around you will look the same. The same kitchen, the same mirror, the same body that carried every year of everything you've walked through. But here is what nobody tells you. The world does not have to change first. You do. And that right there is the most dangerous, most liberating truth in all of Scripture. Because the enemy has spent years convincing you that you are waiting on your circumstances to shift before you can feel different. Waiting on the diagnosis to change, waiting on the money to appear, waiting on the phone to ring, waiting on the person who hurt you to finally say what they should have said 10 years ago. And while you waited, your peace bled out quietly, every single morning. So I need to ask you something, and I need you to sit with it. What if the shift was never supposed to start out there? What if every door that didn't open was God protecting you from walking into a room you weren't ready for yet? What if the delay wasn't punishment but preparation, so precise, so surgical, so personally designed for you that not 1 year of it was wasted? Psalm 30:5 says it plainly. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Not in a year, not when things get easier, In the morning, after the night that felt like it would never end, you are at the end of that night right now. And here is what I want you to picture. Before the sun rises, before a single ray of light breaks the horizon, there is a moment when the sky begins to change. You cannot see the sun yet. You cannot prove daylight is coming, but the darkness has shifted. Something in the atmosphere has already moved. Dawn has entered before the sun is visible. That is where you are tonight. God is not waiting until everything is resolved to give you peace. He is offering you peace as the resolution. Peace that does not require an answer first. Calm like still water before morning light. Not because the storm is gone, but because something inside you has settled deeper than the storm ever reached. This is what Philippians 4:7 calls the peace that surpasses all understanding. Not the peace that makes sense, the peace that makes no sense at all and arrives anyway. Tomorrow may not be easier. I will not stand here and tell you the hard things disappear overnight. But I will tell you this: with everything I have, you can wake up differently. You can open your eyes tomorrow morning and feel, for the first time in a long time, that something has shifted inside your chest. Not because your problems solved themselves while you slept, but because tonight, something was surrendered. Something was released. And the posture you bring into a hard day changes everything about how that day receives you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is walking forward while fear is still in the room. And tomorrow, chosen one, you will walk forward with less weight than you carried today. Clearer thinking, quieter anxiety, a fresh sense that your life is not over, it is opening. The right conversations are going to begin finding you. Not forced, not manufactured, arranged. The way God arranges things when the receiver is finally open. Your sleep tonight is not escape. It is not collapse. It is not a body giving up. It is a seed going into dark soil to do the work that only darkness can produce. And when you wake, there will be something new in you crossing into an old day. A spirit that has been touched tonight, walking into a Tuesday morning that looks the same as every other Tuesday but is not. Because you are not the same. Here is the final word. The line this entire message has been building toward. The hinge the whole night rests on. Write it in your heart before you close your eyes. Tomorrow does not first change around you. It begins by changing within you. That is not motivation. That is not inspiration. That is the architecture of every transformation in the Bible, from Joseph in the pit, to David in the cave, to Paul in the prison. Every single one of them woke up different on the inside before anything changed on the outside. And now it is your turn. You are not going to sleep tonight as the person who has been waiting. You are going to sleep tonight as the person who has received. There is a difference. And tomorrow morning, you are going to feel it. If you are ready to wake up with a different spirit than the one you carried all day, type right now. Tomorrow begins in me. That is not a comment. That is a declaration. That is you telling heaven, I received it, I believe it, and I am not going back to not knowing. Sleep well, chosen one. What was sealed tonight does not need your effort to protect it. It is already yours. You made it to the end of this message, and I want you to understand what that means. Because most people quit. Most people scrolled away when it started to get too real, but you stayed. And staying was not nothing. Staying was everything. So, before you close your eyes tonight, I need to ask you the most important question of this entire hour. When was the last time you went to sleep and woke up changed? Not rested, not recovered, changed. The kind of change that happens in the deep, in the hidden, in the quiet work God does while the world goes dark and the noise finally stops. Psalm 127:2 says, He grants sleep to those He loves. Not just rest, sleep as a gift. Sleep as a place where something is given to you that you could never manufacture awake. But most people tonight will close their eyes the same way they opened them this morning, heavy with the same fear, gripping the same worry, carrying the same story that has kept them small for years. Not you. Not tonight. Because here is the truth that has been building through every word of this message. This night is not about going to sleep. It is about refusing to go to sleep as the same person. Think about what Jacob did at the Jabbok River. He didn't just rest that night, he wrestled. And when morning came, he limped, because something in him had been permanently altered by what happened in the dark. He crossed that threshold as Jacob. He woke as Israel. Same man, completely different identity. The night did what no daylight ever could. That is what God is offering you right now. Not a feeling, not a spiritual experience you'll forget by Tuesday. A crossing, a threshold, the kind that leaves a mark. But here is what will block it, and I need you to hear this clearly. The enemy of your new season is not your past. It is not your failures. It is not even your doubt. It is the grip, the white-knuckle, middle-of-the-night grip on everything you are afraid to lose. The control that masquerades as strength, the worry you have been calling wisdom. Isaiah 43:18 says it plainly. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. God doesn't say that because the past didn't matter. He says it because where you are going cannot be entered while both hands are still full of where you have been. So right now, before you sleep, I want you to do something. Cross this threshold barefoot and honest. No performance, no polished prayer, just you, in the quiet of this room, handing God the final burden of the day. Put it in His hands. The thing you've been holding since January, the relationship that won't resolve, the financial fear that wakes you at 3 inches the morning, the question about whether it's too late for your health, your family, your purpose. Hand it over, not because you've figured it out, because you trust the one who already has. Now, speak this. Say it out loud if you can. Say it in your spirit if that's all you have. Lord, I will not carry old fear into a new morning. I release what I cannot hold and I receive what you are building in me. I am not forgotten. I am not too late. I am not who I was. Tonight I rest in trust, and tomorrow I rise in peace. That is not just a prayer, that is a declaration. And declarations made in this hour, in this threshold, in this sacred space between the day and the deep, they land differently. They carry weight that daylight prayers sometimes don't. Now, do not scroll into noise after this. Do not go back into the panic. Let the room get quiet. Put the phone face down. Let the silence be what it is, not emptiness, but presence. Breathe, surrender, and lay your head down, not in defeat, but in trust. Sleep as someone held by God, because you are. You have always been. You are going to close your eyes in one season tonight, and something in you, not everything, but something real, is going to wake up in another. That is the promise of a God who never wastes a night. If this message found you at the right hour, type right now, I will not sleep the same. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it before bed tonight. You might be the reason they finally let go of something they've been carrying alone for years. And if this spoke to your spirit, stay connected. Because what begins in hidden nights like this one almost always becomes visible in the days ahead. Sleep well, chosen one. You are seen, you are held, and tomorrow you rise.